Dobrodošli, moje ime je Azra Hadžić. U ovom Jazeera Svijetu izdvajamo. Višesedmični smrtonosni protesti na ulicama Kenije doveli do odbacivanja kontroverznog prijedloga zakona o povećanju poreza. Demonstranti traže i ostavku predsjednika. Čile je dom za više od 500.000 Palestinaca. Kako živi ta najveća palestinska zajednica izvan Bliskog istoka? Američki ratni reporter Peter Maass za Al Jazeeru govori o imunitetu Izraela, zločinima nad Palestincima, ubistvima novinara, poredi rat u Gazi, BiH i odgovore SAD-a na njih. U Nairobiju i drugim kenijskim gradovima sedmicama traju protesti i sukobi demonstranata i snaga sigurnosti. Početni bijes izazvao je prijedlog zakona kojim se nastojalo povećati poreze na nekoliko osnovnih dobara. Mnogi Kenijci kažu da je život već isuviše težak. Percepcija je bila da vlada tjera mlade i siromašne da snose najveći teret dužničke krize u zemlji nakon godina lošeg financijskog upravljanja i potrošnje. Policija je na proteste odgovorila suzavcem, vodenim topovima i bojevom municijom, što je rezultiralo smrću više od 40 demonstranata. Protesti su nastavljeni. Traži se ostavka predsjednika Williama Ruta. U nastavku priča o kenijskim danima gnjeva.
The president of this country is killing people, is killing kids every single day. People are getting abducted, people are getting arrested, people are being disappeared for protesting against overtaxation. So we're here to bury Ibrahim, who was murdered by the police during the peaceful protest that actually happened. He was an innocent young man with a bright future, and he was protesting for his rights, and then he was murdered. So we're here to say goodbye to him and demand for justice.
ولدتك أمك باكيا والناس من حولك يضحكون سرورا.
My name is Boniface Mwangi. I'm an activist. Online, people call me the People's Watchman because when you have an issue, come to me, I highlight it for you, and then we try and get you justice. Yeah, it looks like a war zone. The president is a coward. That's he needs a lot of armed people around his residence. So we're going to go around and say hello to all the police roadblocks, find out how they're doing. So the colors are very symbolic. It's green for the country, white for peace, red for the blood that was shed for our freedom, and black for the people. We're black and beautiful all the time. Today, the city looks like the president is under siege. A man under siege from his own citizens should ask himself what he's doing wrong. I was almost abducted by the police outside a mortuary, so I had to run away. Sasa mnashikia nini? Sio twende nyumbani bwana. Wacha twende nyumbani. They just had us seen any young people in the streets. Huh? You can't walk around, can't say anything. Our government is overtaxing us so that we can support and maintain the expensive lifestyle and tastes of the people in power. So the anger in the streets is about Kenyans saying you cannot overtax us to fund your lifestyle.
The police are killing us outside Parliament. They just shot someone right now. 2 people have been shot right now outside Parliament. They are shooting us. Why are you shooting us? Why are you killing us?
Poleni kwa msiba.
Sisi wote msiba.
Poleni sana. Poleni. We were trying to get the body released because the Muslims and the police were denying. They were saying that they're still investigating, but the longer a Muslim stays, it's not right for their religion. So we are trying to get the body released, then it can be buried today.
Find out. No, come on.
It's tough. He was a young kid, 19 years old. Just finished high school.
Father, I think that's the proudest thing I have in my life. My 3 kids who are all Gen Zs, and I do this for them. I fight for them.
Even good trips.
Where do I see myself in the coming weeks? I hope I stay alive. I hope I don't get murdered. And I hope that I'm going to live long enough to see the liberation of this country. But if that doesn't happen, the fight must continue, and that my family and my kids will understand why we're doing this.
Čile je dom najveće palestinske populacije izvan Bliskog istoka. U toj latinoameričkoj državi živi ih više od 500 miliona. Njihova tradicija duga je gotovo 150 godina. Od kraja 19. stoljeća dogodila su se 3 vala migracija iz Palestine, a svi oni imaju veze sa kolonizacijom, etničkim čišćenjem, rasizmom. Iako im u počecima nije bilo lako, danas su Čileanci palestinskog porijekla zastupljeni u nekim od najviših vladinih ureda. Solidarnost s Palestinom izražava se u svim sektorima. U pojedinim dijelovima Santiago de Chilea zaboravljate da ste u Južnoj Americi, jer je mnogo toga u znaku Palestine. Naš kolega Haris Buljubašić proveo je dan s ovom zajednicom te upoznao njihove običaje i kulturu.
Palestinska najveća zajednica izvan Bliskog istoka je upravo ovdje, u Čileu. Njih 500.000. Idemo ih upoznati.
I am Chilean because I born in Chile, but my heart is Palestine.
Njihova historija u ovoj zemlji duga je otprilike 150 godina. Prvi dolazak zabilježen je 1884. mada se vjeruje da ih je bilo i prije toga. Ali zašto su prešli toliki put od Palestine do Čilea? Jedan izvještaj kaže da su došli jer je situacija u to vrijeme na teritoriji Palestine bila izuzetno loša, da su takse koje je nametalo Osmansko carstvo bile visoke, te im nije odgovaralo služenje obaveznog vojnog roka. Nakon prvih naseljavanja krajem 19. vijeka najviše ih je došlo između 1900. i 1930. a potom nakon Nakbe i šestodnevnog rata. Danas su veliki dio čileanskog društva i podršku za Palestinu možete vidjeti gotovo na svakom ćošku. Palestinci koji žive u glavnom gradu Santiago de Chileu okupljaju se u ovom klubu. Ovaj društveni klub, Klub Palestino, broji 4000 članova i zaista je grandiozan, a to se najbolje može vidjeti na snimcima iz zraka. A neki dijelovi grada imaju palestinska obilježja na svakom ćošku, čak i palestinsku ulicu. Kada su se doselili, Palestinci su se uglavnom bavili tekstilnim biznisom i trgovinom, koji su i danas važne grane privrede u njihovoj populaciji.
هذا حي حلو جميل جدا في عندنا هون من كل الجنسيات الواحد هون بعتقد حاله انه موجود في الشرق الاوسط.
Nezaobilazna stanica kada govorimo o palestinskoj kulturi je i hrana. Adam, vlasnik restorana, kaže nam da se hrana i dalje priprema u palestinskim kućama i da se palestinska i čileanska kuhinja nisu miješale.
Palestinian cuisine is very important and very famous here in Chile. And talk about Chilean cuisine, it's totally different. We don't have anything connecting with Chilean cuisine.
Važnu ulogu u zajednici ima i fudbalski klub Deportivo Palestino. Trenutno je 6. u prvoj ligi, a njegov dres jedan je od najtraženijih na svijetu.
This started as the soccer, a t-shirt of our team Palestino. But somehow we really don't know how and why it became a symbol in the world around. So it's very, very curious, but I usually have people contacting me from Thailand, Malaysia, asking me for the t-shirt of the club to go out if they have to go and protest and go to the streets and everything. They all want to have this.
Dresi sezoni 2024. gotovo je nemoguće naći u prodaji. Samo nekoliko dresova iz sezone 2023. našli smo u važnoj prodavnici za Palestince. U sklopu kluba Palestino nalazi se i ova radnja. Odakle sav profit koji zarade ide direktno za obrazovanje omladine u Palestini. Nažalost, više ne uspijevaju poslati novac u Gazu, ali se trude pomoći drugim palestinskim zajednicama kojima mogu. Idemo ih posjetiti.
So everything we have is to show that you're Palestinian or to give for somebody else to spread the Palestinian feeling, the Palestinian problems. Almost everybody, when they have to, a present for whatever, a marriage or a baptism or whatever, they come here and buy stuff from here. So we have to thank that.
Gledati izraelsku kampanju genocida nad Palestincima Gaze za njihove sunarodnjake ovdje izuzetno je teško. A Čile kao država pružuje veliku podršku Palestini, za što su dijelom zaslužni upravo članovi tamošnje palestinske zajednice. Gotovo svi s kojima smo razgovarali bili su u Palestini.
كثير من المرات ذهبت إلى فلسطين لأن إخوالي وأجدادي موجودين في رام الله والقدس.
Ali znanje arapskog u zajednici nije toliko zastupljeno. Abdullahov cilj je da to promijeni.
I try to improve Arabic language for all Arabic community here in Chile. Here we have a small Palestine, so I think to be original copy of Palestine, we need to speak the formal language of Palestine, the Arabic language.
Eduardo je još 1973. počeo učiti klasični arapski, potom kolokvijalni, ali sada pokušava nadograditi znanje kako bi što bolje komunicirao.
And I like too much the Arabic language because I see it's very artistic, the writing, and many concepts you cannot translate to Spanish. You must read Arabic to understand many things.
I learned Arabic language because my grandfathers came to Chile from Palestine 100 years ago, and I love all things, Arab things.
Više od 90% Palestinaca u Čileu su pravoslavci. Iako su na početku imali probleme s diskriminacijom, sada su važan i dobro prihvaćen dio čileanskog društva, koji nije zaboravio svoje korijene.
Širom svijeta Palestinaca ima više od 14,6 miliona. 3,3 miliona je na zapadnoj obali i blizu 2,3 miliona je u Gazi, te više od 1,7 miliona Palestinaca živi u Izraelu i čine 20% ukupnog stanovništva Izraela. U dijaspori živi približno 7,3 miliona Palestinaca od Bliskog istoka preko Južne Amerike do Australije. Više od 6 miliona registrovanih je palestinskih izbjeglica. To je jedna od najvećih izbjegličkih populacija u svijetu. Oni su uglavnom na palestinskim teritorijama i u susjednim zemljama, većina u izbjegličkim kampovima koje priznaje UNRWA. Veliki broj izbjeglih je živio u Gazi, a posljednji podaci UN-a kažu da je čak 1,9 miliona ljudi sada interno raseljeno u pojasu uslijed izraelskih napada. UNRWA definiše palestinske izbjeglice kao osobe čije je mjesto boravka bila Palestina između 1. juna 1946. i 15. maja 1948. godine i koje su izgubile dom i sredstva za život, što je posljedica Nagbe iz 1948. Potomci ljudi koji potpadaju pod tu definiciju, među njima i njihova usvojena djeca, imaju prava da se prijave kao izbjeglice. Palestinci izvan ovih teritorija čine širu dijasporu, koja obuhvata one koji su otišli prije 1948. godine i njihove potomke. Američki urednik i novinar Peter Maass izvještavao je tokom ratova u Iraku, Siriji, Afganistanu i u Bosni i Hercegovini. O ratu u Gazi i izraelskim ratnim zločinima pisao je za američki The Washington Post. Za Al Jazeeru govori o imunitetu koji uživa Izrael. Povlači paralele između rata u Gazi i onog u Bosni, američkom odgovoru na njih te velikim stradanjima palestinskih novinara. A prema podacima Ureda za medije u Gazi, od oktobra ih je ubijeno više od 150.
This many journalists being targeted intentionally by, let's say, Russian forces in Ukraine, I think that what you would have heard from American media organizations or other media organizations would have been, multitudes more louder, multitudes more effective than what's been heard. The cause of it, it's almost kind of too banal to kind of, say it, but, as far as I see it, the fact is that, Israelis are kind of regarded for a long time as American allies, and America has supported Israel in pretty much all of its actions. And the victims in this case are Muslim. And this is something that was also relevant with respect to Bosnia. Why didn't America and other countries react more strongly than they did? If it had been, let's say, the Bosnian army attacking Belgrade, there would have been a very different reaction in the world than there was with respect to Serbs attacking Sarajevo. So, the identity of the victims is key, and the identity of the perpetrators, who are allies of the United States, is also key. And that's, I think, what accounts for a lot of what's going on. Tolerated certainly by a lot of governments, yes, because Israel is their ally. Individual journalists, if we're talking about journalists, I mean, I know, practically every war correspondent I know would, gladly go to Gaza if they could. They don't have the power to do that because obviously it's the Israeli government that controls those borders. And, the American government has no interest in pushing the Israelis on that particular issue. So, it's just, Israel is in a position where it has the power to absolutely exclude everybody it wants to from Gaza. When I covered the invasion of Iraq, for example, the American government had a policy that only journalists who are embedded with the American military can go into Iraq at the same time that the American military was going in. But I and a number of other journalists just said, no, we're not going to do it that way. And we rented our own vehicles in Kuwait, and we kind of snuck into Iraq. It was a chaotic situation at the Iraqi-Kuwaiti border when the invasion was happening, and we found ways in. We disguised ourselves in some cases as soldiers or soldier-adjacent people. That is impossible, obviously, in Israel. I mean, there's no way for anybody to sneak in or talk their way into Gaza from the Egyptian side or from the Israeli side. The absolute control that those borders are under is, I think, a key factor because, in Afghanistan in 2001, again, I mean, the Taliban was still in control of most of the country, and I was able to sneak in there when there was a very fluid situation. While the Taliban still held Kandahar. And that's just, it's an unusual situation that a border is controlled so completely. I mean, in Syria, journalists were able to move around, not obviously in the Assad-controlled parts of Syria, but they were able to move around in various parts of Syria. The elites of the two major American parties in the United States are not, forget about coming to the rescue of Palestinians, which people were hoping for with respect to Bosnia and the American government, and in a very belated way, it kind of did. It's not that they're going to come to the rescue; it's that they're, going to continue, helping the effort to suppress and to kill these people. And it's for me, it's an even worse situation than what we saw in Bosnia. I mean, the American government, which I was incredibly critical of during the Bosnian War and incredibly critical of in the book I wrote because it stood on the sidelines while a genocide was being committed, while it knew a genocide was being committed and made excuses all the time. Now it's involved actively. And, I guess I shouldn't be surprised because of the long-time relationship between the United States government and the Israeli government, but to actually see this happen is even, more disheartening than what I saw in Bosnia. And I was pretty damn disheartened to see kind of the amoral position that my government took then. If you watch the State Department briefings, these are very smart individuals who are giving the briefings, who are speaking on behalf of the U.S. government, who slip around everything. I mean, they don't say like that number is absolutely wrong. The actual number is this. They're not necessarily kind of denying a particular number. They're just saying none of these numbers are right. We don't really know, which is obviously a form of denial. It's problematic to admit this level of civilian casualties, particularly like casualties of children, for example. And at the same time say, yes, we're going to continue to supply weapons to the regime that is responsible for this. So it's kind of like once you get involved in aggression, warfare of aggression, you kind of have to deny its consequences. Otherwise, how can you justify its continuation? And so, I mean, there's no satisfaction in seeing these government officials kind of squirm around and patently lie in a way that, in their private moments, hopefully they're embarrassed about. It gives no satisfaction because it doesn't change anything at all. The policy continues.
Blizu 4000 ribara u Gazi ranije su bili okosnica društva palestinske enklave, opskrbljujući stanovnike svježom ribom uprkos višegodišnjim strogim ograničenjima koje je Izrael postavio u vodama Gaze. Sada, u ratom razorenom pojasu, riskiraju živote ulaskom u Sredozemno more, izloženi nemilosrdnom izraelskom pomorskom bombardiranju. Kažu da nemaju mogućnosti prehraniti svoju djecu usred prijetjeće gladi.
Obala Gaze jedno je od rijetkih područja u pojasu koje izraelska vojska nije uništila. More je izvor sredstava za život palestinskim ribarima, ali i dio njihovog identiteta. Mustafa Abu Amira svaki dan rizikuje svoj život kako bi ulovio ribu i nahranio gladne članove porodice.
الأولاد الصغار عشان ناكل ونضمن أكلنا وشربنا. قعدنا بيجي حركة 5-6 شهور ما حدش قادر ينزل. اللي بينزل كان يضرب عليه صواريخ. في حدا من أصحابك استشهد؟ والله كتار في البحر. الأسبوع اللي فات حتى عديل استشهد كمان ونسيبه.
Od 7. oktobra Izrael je veći dio obale Gaze proglasio ratnom zonom, naredivši komercijalnim i privatnim brodovima da tamo prestanu prolaziti. Međutim, čak i u područjima koja je vojska proglasila sigurnim humanitarnim zonama, palestinski su ribari bili meta. Kažu da su izraelski ratni brodovi otvarali vatru na njih bez ikakvog upozorenja.
الحرب هذه قاسية علينا وعلى الصيادين وحرب هذه قوية علينا وعلى الصيادين. طبعا فيش عندنا مراكب ضل نسرح ونروح نيجي فيه نبحر فيهن. كلهن أغلبيتهن انحرقن يعني.
هذا صور محمود كلها.
Kevser al-Akra kaže da je njen sin Mahmud poginuo dok je lovio ribu za svoju porodicu.
وراح يلم الغزل ما فيش ربع ساعة غير بضطر أطبطخ عليه. أجوني هنا قالوا لي متصاب رحت لقيته مستشهد. هو اللي بعيل الدار كلها.
Rat je pretvorio vode Gaze u smrtonosnu zamku.
With Israel blocking humanitarian aid deliveries into the Strip, those fishermen could be a lifeline for Palestinians. But Israel's war has effectively shut down the fishing industry, adding to the widespread hunger and starvation. Tariq Abazoum, Al Jazeera, Deir el-Balah, Palestine.
To je sve u ovom izdanju Jazeera Svijeta. Ako ste propustili početak, emisiju potražite i na našem portalu. Do narednog susreta, doviđenja.